Hello and welcome to Spirit Alliance. My name is Marty Rawson.
Hey, I'm Rowan Dixon. Nice to be with you again, Marty. Looking forward to today's chat. Thanks.
All right. Well, thank you. It's always good to see you and chat with you. Um, Today, we're going to be discussing disclosure and the new Earth. And since there's so much happening right now, I think it's a very good opportunity for this discussion. So, how do you feel about that, Rahul?
Excited, Marty. I always enjoy talking about all spiritual topics, and you being quite knowledgeable about the Star Nations, I'm really looking forward to it.
All right. All right. So, what is your take on uh, disclosure and what's going on?
Okay, so I guess my first thought or feeling is that this is only going to be disclosure in our era or our age because the star nations or extraterrestrials have been coming to Earth and have been a part of Earth's creation and have been here for a long, 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 many, many years, And I guess the first thing that really drew me to the belief and the understanding about star nations and extraterrestrials was through some personal experience that I had. Um, and also the interest in indigenous cultures and ancient tribes who all knew and understand it was in their knowledge in their stories that went down from generation to generation, and they knew where they were from. They'd be able to look up at the stars and say that's where we're from. We're from the Pleiades or the Orion's belt, or wherever it was in the cosmos. They knew, and it was much known. It was just normal to them. And I had some great experience of in Australia in the northwest, where I lived for around 8 years on and off in the Kimberley region of Australia, which is some of the oldest rock formations and Aboriginal rock art in the world. And my time there, I learned quite a bit about their creation stories, which was the dream time. Um, and they have a painting, which is thousands of years old, of a spirit called Wandjina, which is spelt Wandjina. If anyone wants to look it up or look at an image, you'll notice that it looks like an extraterrestrial with bigger eyes in it. Some people say it's an energy halo over the top of their head, and others say it's a cloud formation of weather because they were the creation spirit of creating the land, creating the animals, the nature, and the Aboriginal people themselves. But it was also the weather spirit. So the bringer of rain, the storms, the lightning, the cyclones, and that sort of thing. So that was fascinating to see that art, learn about that um, part of their culture and understanding. So there was another indication to me that another culture, the indigenous culture thousands of years ago, that and in their stories is that the Wandjina spirit came from the stars and came to Earth and was part of the creation of them and everything. And that's just the Kimberley region, because in Australia there's a lot of different tribes and areas, and the creation stories in Dreamtime are different from location to location. So that's for the northwest of Australia and the Kimberley. And I was very fortunate last year, which was a fascinating story, which I'd love to share with you, Marty, was I was able to have some time with an elder. He was a spiritual lawman of one of the communities in Broome, in Coconut Wells, which is a beach area just outside of Broome. And so I spent some time with him, and he told me the story of the song lines. And the song lines is the creation stories in Dreamtime. And so what they did was because we're through vibration, frequency, and sound, because it's all energetic, they voiced everything into creation. So they walked on walkabout and then voiced through vibration and sound the creation of the land formation, the nature, the animals, especially water holes for drinking water and living. And that was just fascinating to me. So what happened though, which amazed me, was probably about 2 or 3 months later, I met a lady who spent a lot of time in Sedona in Arizona, and she lived there for years and learned a lot about the American Indian creation stories. And so what she told me was that what they did was they would listen to the higher dimensions of the higher rounds, and then what they heard, they would then voice. And they would voice also land, trees, nature, streams, rivers, water holes, animals, and so on into creation. And I just about fell off my chair. I could not believe it, because they had two stories of two different Indigenous cultures from completely different sides of the world with almost an identical creation story. So it's from that, my intuition told me, or my belief system told me, that um, the Wandjina spirit, just the story of the Aboriginals in Australia, came to Earth and created, you know, the Aboriginals and the land and so on. But then they also taught them how to create. And so then I guess that's, to me, the first story of channeling, is being able to channel sounds from the higher dimensions of the star nations or spirit or God or the universe, whatever you believe in, and then be able to voice that into creation. And we sort of do that ourselves now in a different way through our intentions, our thoughts, and voicing our reality into existence. We're not voicing it into actual form, but we are in some ways through manifestation. So I believe the power of voice, the power of frequency, vibration, sound is very powerful. So that was sort of my first, I guess, experience with the Star Nations, or relating it to ancient cultures, indigenous cultures. So it's all throughout history stories. You know, even in the Egyptian times, the pyramids pointed to the Orion's belt, the three pyramids of Giza. And a lot of the ancient monuments around the world do that. They point to different star constellations. So it's not a new thing. This is actually the disclosure that's going to happen for us, which we're very fortunate to have, hopefully in our lifetime, is just a returning of the extraterrestrials and the star nations in a time that it's going to be accepted. Previously, in those indigenous times and cultures of ancient times, it is accepted and known. It wasn't a big deal. It was just, we're making it a big deal now because it's new. It's new to us, but really it's not. There's really a lot of information in history where it's happened before. So it's exciting.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And I'm glad you brought that up, because almost every indigenous culture around the world has their own stories and their own folklore of exactly what you're saying. This is where we came from, or these are the ones who came and taught us. In one way or another, there's connection with the star nations. And the most prominent ones on Earth are usually the Pleiades, Sirius, um, Orion, and once in a while you will get, good Lord, I'm forgetting the name of it, but it's where Zeta Reticuli. Yeah. Angkor Wat is actually oriented towards Zeta Reticuli. And so not just their folklore, but also many temples and many structures, like you mentioned, the Giza pyramids are set out according to the belt of Orion. And it's all of this is very significant because literally the Earth receives a lot of energy from these key stars that are around us, and they do send us divine energy. And they've been here for so much longer than we have. It isn't funny. I think the word disclosure often comes from Stephen Greer's work because he had the Disclosure Project, and so everybody just kind of glommed onto that and decided to, to go with that as what's going on. But to me, disclosure is much more than just the revelation of the existence of the star nations. With the shift in consciousness that we are going through, it's the unveiling. At the beginning of this, what we are in the middle of right now is the unveiling of the hidden truths of our civilization. And I do believe that in the next couple of months, there's going to be grand revelations, and it's going to shock and really probably anger a lot of people due to the revelations of greed, corruption, domination, to the extent of that most people don't even realize. And the thing that I would encourage people is to not allow ourselves to get angry about this, because our goal is to shift into the higher dimensions and to walk through this. The old corrupt systems, they need to crumble away so that we can move into a higher level and create heaven on earth. So as much as you might want to get upset about being fooled and all of this stuff, I highly recommend people just constantly look forward to what we're trying to create, because that is what's important right now. So in the coming months, you know, and also one other thing that I want to warn people about, and I don't know if you've heard about this, but there has been talk actually for decades about the powers that be trying to create a fake invasion to try to scare all of humanity and all of that. I wouldn't be surprised if they do try that, but I will also, and I don't make many predictions, but I will say that if they do, I believe it's going to fail miserably. And I think it's going to expose them. I think they will literally expose themselves as the frauds that they are. And so there's kind of a part of me that wants them to try, because I think it's going to be foiled and really shown so that people can understand the level that these people will go to try to maintain control, you know. And I also want to make one other point, that if any harm comes to anyone at the very beginning of their fake invasion thing, understand that that is humans aboard those craft, because we have reversed engineered craft, and the star nations are beings of love and light. All of the ones that are coming here are so much more advanced than we are, and they have no interest in ever harming anyone, because they understand through unity consciousness that to harm anyone would be to harm themselves as well. And so they have no interest in harming anyone. I mean, if there were, any intention of that, they could have a long time ago. So it's not about that, but we really want to make sure that we understand the only ones backwards enough to harm anyone is certain humans that are brainwashed into thinking that they should do that. Okay. And the star nations are not here to do anything but have a family reunion based in love and light. And so the next couple of months, I do believe, are going to get kind of exciting, but it's going to lay the groundwork for so much good that is going to be coming forth into our civilization. There's a tremendous amount of things that are going on, and if people can just try to remember that the whole purpose of this shift is the realization that we are actually beings of light, and our higher goal is to make that connection with source, to allow the energy of source to flow through you. When you do that, you allow yourself to be love. And that is how you are going to make connection with the star nations. People are always, we're so convinced that we need to wait for the government to give us permission, or wait for physical contact. And the star nations are not waiting for any government on earth. They're waiting for individuals and for the status quo to wake up in enough that they can join us here in peace and love, because that's the level they are at. And they will not cause any harm. They don't even like us to be in any fear whatsoever. And so we have to prepare ourselves in love and light in order to be able to welcome them. And so it's really an interesting situation, because we have to walk through the mess we've made. We have to raise our own vibrational frequency. And that frequency of love and light is what's going to allow the star nations to know that we are ready. And it doesn't have to be everybody on the planet. It's actually a relatively smaller percentage of people that need to actually do this. But it does have to be a certain percentage of light workers that raise the vibrational frequency. And so it's, anyway, I'll give you a chance to speak here for a minute, but that's something that I feel is important that people understand, is work on yourself. Try to stay away from negative media. Try to stay in love and light. Work on yourself. Make your connection with spirit on a daily basis. And remember that it's all about the reunification with Prime Creator. And if you have a bad day, that's okay. Everybody has a bad day. Get up the next day, brush yourself off, love yourself like you would any of your loved ones, and try again and again and again. And this is one thing you just never give up on. And as long as you're going in the right direction, you're going to be fine, because this is truly all guided by a very loving, unconditional love of the Creator. So, and remember, it's not an invasion, it's a reunion. That's what we're looking forward to. So.
Great, Marty. Well said. Excellent. Loved everything that you said. And while I was listening to you talk, what came out of it for me is the different energies that are going on at the moment on Earth. I think we have to realize that we're in a huge, massive shift of Earth's consciousness that it's never been through before. And
right.
we're part of a shift from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius. And that only happens every 2,160 years. And we're right in that transition. So that's why we've got energies of the Pisces age still with us and the new energies of Aquarius coming in.
Yes.
So the age of Pisces was there was the negativities that you talked about, the suppression, the control, the power,
Mhm.
the suffering of suppression, institutions. But it was also the age of Pisces was very much about bringing in a foundation of awareness and knowledge spiritually.
Mhm.
So we had the teachings of Jesus on love. We had the teachings of Buddha on compassion. We had the teachings of the yogis on meditation, breathing, and then we've got all of the newer age understandings of the awareness that we are spirit in a body.
Yes.
And what we're made up of is the same substances as the stars. So I think what I've been feeling and sensing is that transitional energy that we've got going on. And so we've got the old energies of Pisces still with us and the new energies of Aquarius coming in. You see, with the suppression and the control and the institutions and the suppression, the age of Aquarius is about unity consciousness. It's about collaboration. It's about clarity and truth. It's about technology and innovation. And so we're seeing that those energies come in now because around the world there's been a huge shift towards collaboration of spiritual groups, communities, retreats, people getting together positively about spiritual practices. It's a huge a business, I guess, in some ways now in the spiritual field, where there's been this huge shift to community. And that's a part of the Aquarius energy of collaboration and unity and equality and
Yeah.
working together. And another thing that's very interesting about the age of Aquarius, the ruling planet of Aquarius is Uranus. And one of the energies associated with that coming into this new age of Aquarius is revolution and the decentralization of centralized institutions and systems. And
Um,
that's exactly what we're seeing, you see.
yes.
And the other thing is the age of Pisces was about secrets and illusions. Okay. Whereas the age of Aquarius is about transparency, clarity, and truth.
Yes.
So that's another area where the illusions and cover-ups and secrets and things that we've not been told about is all already coming into truth, awareness, understanding for us spiritually and of the bigger picture of what's going on. So I think we just have to understand when we're feeling sensitive or we're having days where we're not feeling so good, it's probably because of those energies, you see. You know,
Yeah.
there's that transition of energies that are going on the planet, but really it's a very exciting time to be a part of because we're here on Earth in a part of history making, which is the transition into a brand new age. And it's not going to happen overnight. We're not just going to wake up tomorrow and we're in the age of Aquarius. Although most of the astrologers around the world and the experts on this can't agree on when is the age of Aquarius beginning. Has it begun? Some say it has. Some say it's still in about 150 to 200 years. You know, my feeling is that we've still got a generation or two before it's really, you know, part of our way of being. So I just find that really interesting that we're moving into that new age. So I hope that makes sense for people
Yeah.
because the age of Pisces was a very spiritual and a beautiful age positively for spirituality because it was the teachers and these masters of the world came in to show us this is the way forward. And those teachings are starting to come to the forefront now, and we're starting to understand that it all, we're connected to, there is no separation, and that we are actually united. We are all the same. We all are love. We all are the energy of the stars, of the universe. We're creations of the universe. And that we're spiritual beings here to learn, grow, and evolve in the best ways that we can. So it's, for me, about being true to yourself and being a sharer and in service of those connection energies with others, and staying as true as what you were talking about earlier, Marty, staying true inside and centered and being of the heart space. Because we spoke about that last chat we had about the heart, and that's another aspect of this new age, is love and unity is connection of the heart, and all of us together in collaboration of unity consciousness is of heart, energy, and of love. So we're moving into a beautiful time. It's just that we need to trust it and understand that it could be turbulent, but on the other side, we're going to, it'll be most beneficial for all of us.
Yeah, I think it's going to be well worth the trip.
Yeah.
I've always viewed the transition from Pisces to Aquarius as, and this is just my personal view on it, but I've seen Pisces as the age of organized religion, and Aquarius as the movement into unity consciousness. And so humanity as a whole is graduating from the rigid doctrines of the religions and actually stepping into what they actually talked about, and understanding that we are all one and we are all children of the Creator. And I think that a lot of barriers are going to just start collapsing, and we're going to see ourselves as one and moving into this unity consciousness. It's actually a very beautiful thing to actually start living what they talk about, instead of saying we believe it and then acting contrary to that.
Yes.
One of the things that I wanted to again stress is that people don't have to wait for anyone's permission to connect with the star nations. The Arcturians, the Pleiadians, and the Sirians, the Andromedans, the Hathors, these are all beings that are actually, they are here now. They actually have never left us, but they are in a higher dimension that is not physical compared to us. And so we don't perceive them in our everyday 3D lives. But just like the angelic realm and the ascended masters, they are within unity consciousness, and they can be right here and right around us. And they are here and around us. And they love to make contact with us. And so no matter who you are, no matter where you're at, if you can put yourself into a state of love and gratitude, and then extend that love and gratitude to reach out to them, I guarantee you, you can form a relationship with them, and they can assist you with your life, whether it's emotional things or health things or whatever. They love to work with us because the eyes of the universe are upon us. And I'm sure that a lot of people have heard this, but it's kind of like tuning a radio. Okay. You go to different frequencies and you're going to get different programming. Okay. And when you tune your radio to the frequency of love and light, and you just keep it there, that's where you're going to go. Okay. remember, this is an electromagnetic universe. The physical 3D universe is electromagnetic in nature, and your mind is electronic, and your heart is magnetic. That's where it has that huge field that we talked about, the heart. And we have been in our heads for so long. And when you can get the mind to become coherent with the heart energy, that is what actually puts you into a coherent state of communication with the higher realms. And you can only do that in a state of love and light. And then you're like a laser beam. Okay. And that's when they can go, ah, hey, one just lit up. Okay, there's one. You know, and it's a very beautiful thing. Okay. Understand you're far more powerful than what you have ever been told you are. But there's there's a lot of different aspects that I want to discuss today, because um, another thing that is important for people to understand is that they're not our saviors, and they're our family. They cannot do this for us, but they are more than glad to walk beside us and help us and guide us and give us ideas and help with our emotional issues and do all sorts of wonderful things and give enlightened advice. Okay, they do it all the time. Um, and so it to me it's a matter of, again, forming that spiritual alliance with, whether it's the angelic realm of the star nations, the ascended masters, no matter who it is, because everyone in the higher dimensions are beings of light, and that's what we're here to do. You know, these civilizations are far older than we are, and one aspect that I wanted to share is that I like to break stuff down into as simple as possible. Okay. And sometimes that works for people and sometimes it doesn't. But let's just get it right down to the bone. Okay. Which feels better, love and light, or hate, fear, and darkness? Well, that's a no brainer. I mean, everybody that is with a functioning cranium will tell you that, yeah, love and light feels a whole lot better. Well, you know, these star nations are far older than we are, and they've got a lot more experience, and they've been around a long time. And I don't care what civilization you're on, what planet you're on, eventually it's going to dawn on you that, you know what, it feels better over here, guys. Let's move this direction, because my gosh, everything feels so much better. There's love here, we're taking care of each other. There's you know, it's all just so much nicer and more beautiful and harmonious. And then your consciousness expands and you become one with the creator, and you're living in an idyllic nirvana. Okay. And that's what it's all about, and that's what they're trying to help us get to. And so um, they learned a long time ago that it really is that simple. Which one feels better? You want to hit your thumb with a hammer, or do you want to go over here and, you know, um, have a really beautiful, heartfelt, loving time? And, you know, uh, like I say, that's a no brainer. Um, so there's different methods that I would like to offer people really quick, and you don't have to do these, but just as a suggestions of things that might help people on their path, because I want this to be informative as well as interesting. But um, if you can remember when you first open your eyes in the morning, connect with Source. Connect with Source right as soon as you open your eyes. Okay. Ask Source to flow through you and to flow through you all day long. And I promise you, before long, you're actually going to feel an incredible wave of beautiful energy that just tingles through every cell of your body. And when you feel that, I think your eyes are going to kind of get big, and especially the first time, you go, "Whoa, that was cool!" That really felt good, and that is source responding to you, letting you know that, yeah, I've got love for you too. You're part of me, and and so little things like this are highly important, and you can do them every day and carry that energy with you all day long, you know, and redo it. Read, it only takes a second. And then you start to recognize that everyone else is also an aspect of the creator. And when you start treating everyone like that, okay, that is vital. That is key. And when when more and more people start creating a society that treats each other as an aspect of the creator, then we've made it. Okay. That's when we really are moving into the higher realms. Okay. Um, if you are having trouble, get out into nature. Take care of yourself, eat right, hydrate, all that good stuff, but get out in nature whenever you can. Okay. And also, when you get the opportunity, like we're doing right now, convene in small groups. Have talks, um, have meditations, just chat once in a while with like-minded people. There's uh, a lot of heart in that. It really helps. Um, I think it just really helps everybody because we are communal in nature, you know. So these are just some things that I wanted to remind people of, and try to help them to go on. Um, Remember that your mind and your ego is what you're trying to let go of. The ego is the little self that was driving in the old 3D. And when you can uh, let go and trade in the ego for communion with divine will, you're going to find that your life starts turning magical. Things actually, when you get out of your own way, it's amazing what the creator can do with you and for you. Okay. But oftentimes we get in our own way. And so, we're rewriting reality, and our vibrational frequency is how you tune in. So pay attention to that and do your best as often as you can to be love and act that way. Okay. Again, it's a new habit, so it'll probably take a while for it to take, but that's all good. So that's just some of the things I really wanted to express to people right off the bat. Um, Later on, I'd like to mention some of the areas that I think we're going to see vast improvements in our society. But uh, I wanted to hear your thoughts on what I had to say there.
It was beautiful, Marty, and I really you have a great way of being able to express from the heart and speak very clearly and of the heart um, for things that are going to benefit people. I always love listening to you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So from what you were talking about, what I was thinking about was New Earth and how it's going to actually look like and be like, because another term that people use for New Earth is 5D Earth,
Right.
and that we're moving out of the 3D or third dimension into the fifth dimension, 5D, and the energies of 5D, from what I can understand, is those energies we talked about that are coming in with the age of Aquarius, which is unity consciousness, collaboration, equality, more heart-centered. And so I think that I remember actually you talking about this once before when we were having a chat, Marty, that you seem to feel that we're moving more into the higher fourth dimension rather than the fifth. I think that's what I heard you say, another chat that we had at another time. Is that right, Marty? Did you want to talk a bit about how you see New Earth coming in and the shift that we're going to have from 3D into a higher vibration? Because I imagine that's what's going on, is
Yeah.
the frequency, the vibration frequency of Earth is ascending, is expanding, is increasing, and we're being here on Earth, we are with it. It was quite funny. There was an analogy that I listened to once where the person described Earth as like the dog and the humanity's like the flea on the back that's going for the cosmic ride and increasing its vibration as Earth does, and that's what's
Yeah.
happening to us, is as our home planet, our home is increasing its vibration and expanding, so are we, so
Yep.
so just thought, I was wondering what your thoughts are on this shift that
Okay.
we're going through from explaining a bit about 3D to 5D or higher fourth D, as you think.
Okay. And this is, I have a little different way of explaining the dimensions because to me, consciousness is the key for everything, because at the quantum level, all that is conscious living energy, and everything that exists multidimensionally and multi-universally is all conscious living energy. So in the past, Earth and humanity have lived in a dense 3D planet, and we have for thousands of years done every dirty, rotten, nasty thing to one another that beings can do to one another, and created a lot of garbage and filth on our planet. And that's why the quarantine was put on Earth. That's why the bells were put up. And well, the bells were also part of the lesson thing, but all of that can't just go out into the universe, because the universe doesn't let you litter up everything. Okay, you have to keep a lot of that in your own in your own home. If that's what you want to do, that's fine, but that's your free will. Okay. But I've always viewed, and I don't really get into the density thing, because to me it just makes things more complicated. But I see the third dimension as the dense physical reality that we are used to. And I see the fifth dimension as the etheric love and light dimension, where nothing below unconditional love can enter. And at that point, you're pretty much beings of light. And the fourth dimension I see as everything in between. And the fourth dimension is the only one that I view as being split in half, because all of that mental and emotional negative energy that humanity has created over the last 13,000 years or 40,000, whatever way you want to look at it, all of that has been on Earth, and it has to stay here. And the 8 billion people on the planet are the ones that get to filter that, which is why everyone is having so many what we call ascension symptoms, where you're so worn out, you're so tired. It's because you're literally filtering all these negative energies that are there. But you can't just jump instantly from a dense physical body into a being of light unless you want to literally let your physical body die. Okay, we are in the process of changing our DNA right now from a carbon-based DNA into a more crystalline form of DNA. And the crystalline form of DNA and cellular construction will hold a vast amount more of light, of the living light of the Creator. And that's what helps us to really expand our consciousness. And again, consciousness is the key. So as we are morphing, literally, we're in the process of morphing into Homo luminous is what I call us, is what we're morphing into. It isn't that our bodies are going to just instantly, change into beings of light. We're actually taking our bodies with us, which is the exciting thing about this. Riding your planet into the higher dimensions is not the customary way that this is done. And so it's revolutionary. It's incredible. And we're actually riding our planet into the higher dimensions. And so that has to take place as a process. It isn't just, snap of the fingers and boom, you're there. And so what you said about it's going to take time between the ages, well, it's going to take time between dimensions as well. And the more we go on, the higher we're going to go. And so the lower half of the fourth dimension is all of the low vibrational energy that humanity has created that was connected to the third dimension. The upper half of the fourth dimension is where the light has more than 51% of the frequency. And this is where beings that are working on their ascension are at in order to move into the full fifth dimension. They send us energies from fifth, sixth, and seventh dimensions in order for us to make this progress, because we have to have higher dimensions in order to help make the changes. But that doesn't mean we're going to instantly just snap into the fifth. So to me, it's a very logical process of moving on. And so I say that right now we are moving into the higher fourth dimension. At least those people that are working on themselves and doing their spiritual work and heading towards the light, that's where you're going. You're going into the higher fourth dimension. And that makes it so much easier. Like right now, people can't necessarily, not everybody can see the star nations and the angels around us. When you get high enough into the fourth dimension, you're going to be able to see them. You're going to be able to communicate with them. Okay, because they can, it makes it so much easier for them also to reduce their frequency a little bit so that they can interact with us. But we've got to meet them halfway. And so we're moving towards them, and the higher we go, the more they're able to connect with us. And so pretty soon, yes, we will go into the fifth dimension, but it's a process and it's going to take a little while. And that's okay, because the process is, that's the whole point. I mean, we all, sometimes we think we want to get to the goal now. And no, what you're going to take with you for the rest of eternity is the portion of this process that you lived through. And, those are going to be some cherished memories, even though some of it might have been painful. It's going to be, wow, remember that? That was remarkable. We didn't even realize when we were in the middle of it how much we were accomplishing. It's incredible. So to me, the it's all about the vibrational frequency of energy. And as you increase the vibrational frequency of energy, you automatically expand in consciousness. And the more you expand in consciousness, the higher your frequency goes, and the more you're able to open up and perceive so much more of what is actually reality. Because we've had our blinders on for a long time. And
Amazing. That's you spoke so well then, Marty. That was great. You really, it's very clear, I understand. And makes a lot of sense. I was fortunate to have a couple of experiences with the Star Nations.
right.
One was with our good friend Lisa, actually, and I I was doing a Reiki healing for her,
Okay.
and I had my eyes closed, and I heard the word Palladian,
Okay.
and then bang, in my third eye, in my mind's eye, right there was a vision of a face of a man, a Palladian being, and I was so excited, and he just looked like us,
Yeah.
although his eyes were a different shape that that we refer to as extraterrestrial. But he really looked kind of very almost like human, like us. And I was so excited that I started to really focus in on his face to look at what he was, like, his facial features, and look at him, what he looked like. And then he said to me, I just heard him say, "It's not important what I look like, it's more important to know that I'm here."
Yeah.
And that was it. But it was a very quick, short experience, but amazing. And the feeling that I got was complete, complete comfort, and and complete friendship, almost like a good feeling, and that he was here to help, and wanted to help.
Yeah.
And I've never had, I want it to happen again, but it hasn't happened to me since. And another time, I had a session with a practitioner who works with expanded consciousness, um, and taking you into an altered state to expand your consciousness to receive whatever you're supposed to receive for higher guidance. Um, and so I was lying there, and I was in a very, very, very deep state of meditation or altered state of consciousness. And prior, during the day, I'd been out for a run, and during my run, I said an intentional prayer to my spirit guides that whoever they wanted to bring forward during that session, I'd be very grateful, and just left it open. I didn't ask for anything in particular, or anyone in particular, or any type of specific message or anything like that, but just left it open with, from my heart, an intentional prayer of, please send someone into this session to guide me of higher guidance. And so I was in this state, and then I started hearing, "We are the Arcturians, we are the Arcturians." And they just kept repeating it. And I was in a very deep state, and I could hear it, and I was wanting to speak it, but there was a delay, and it never happened before. So I guess what was happening, the transmission, they were trying to, align the frequency with me, and I was getting used to hearing it and being able to translate it. So, and in the end, I just spat it out, and I said, "We are the Arcturians." And then they just started speaking through me for about 20 minutes. And
Oh, wonderful.
yeah, it was absolutely mind blowing and incredible. And the guy, the practitioner, recorded it for me, so I have it on record to listen to. But it was just of higher guidance of what's good for me, and some personal messages of my spiritual journey. So it was a very wonderful experience. So it got me thinking, that um, we we must be somehow connected. have been lived lives like that in the past, or you've heard you mention before, they're our family.
Mhm.
I received one of the questions I had was, where am I from in the universe? And I didn't find out. And they said, it's not the right time for you to know right now, but you will in your lifetime. But your home planet is very associated with us. We're like brothers and sisters. That's how they
Yeah,
said it to me. That's how they said it to me. So
yeah.
somehow I'm linked to the Arcturians and maybe the Palladians as well, which I just feel incredibly grateful for. Um, so, did you want to talk a little bit about, our where we're from in the universe, or how we are interconnected with the star nations,
Well,
Mark?
there's a couple of different comments that I wanted to make right off the bat, and that is, as far as Earth humans go, it is my understanding that we have about 2 dozen, the literally the genetic material as Homo sapiens contains about 2 dozen uh, additions to our genome from those 2 dozen different star nations. And that has never been really done before, as far as everybody, as far as all the information that I have goes. And that's one of the reason why the controllers of the planet wanted to keep us down, was because if we ever awoken, if we ever become awake and realize uh, who we are, all of that, the gifts and special abilities of all of these different star nations are going to start being activated and come on full force. And that is something that they're not prepared to deal with. And they know it. So keep them unconscious and keep them under control. And that was their plan. But also remember that um, we live in a fractal holographic universe. Okay. And your higher self uh, has many different aspects of you simultaneously on different worlds. Okay. And we always think of the past and the future, and that's okay to think that way. But if you have a very strong affinity um, towards a particular uh, star nation group, or more than one, chances are you either have had lifetimes there before, or you might have an aspect of you there now. Okay. And they're literally saying, you have no idea. When we say we're family, you have no idea what we mean. Okay. Because part of you is here with us. and it's a very, very beautiful thing. People are going to literally have to open up their minds and really change the way they view uh, reality, because almost nothing you were taught is the way it is. There's an old book called Everything You Think You Know is Wrong. And in a lot of ways that's true. But the truth is so much more beautiful than what you've ever been told, that it's not a disappointment when you actually see how things work. So there's the multidimensional fractal holographic viewpoint of everything that's going on in the eternal now. And there's also the fact that long ago in the 3D Earth history, the uh, the type of beings that we are originated on Lyra, and then they spread to Vega, and then eventually some of them came to Earth, and those that came to Earth ended up going to the Pleiades, and then they went to Sirius, and then they started just scattering all over the place. Okay. And so there are what is called the Adam Cadmon body type, is what we are familiar with. Okay. But it's only one within the universe. There's incredible variety. And as time goes on, we will open up to that as well. But in reality, we look like the Pleiadians because the Pleiadians were actually on Earth long before Homo sapiens was ever developed. Okay. And it was the master geneticist from Sirius that actually taught the Pleiadians into assisting with the genome of Homo sapiens so that the the aberrations created by the Anunnaki were not sanctified and authorized by the spiritual hierarchy, and they really didn't have the ability to evolve spiritually. And so the Syrians jumped in and said, no, this is wrong. We're not going to allow, this is a crime against nature, a crime against the divine, and we're not going to allow that to happen. And so we literally owe our very existence to the divine integrity of the Syrians and the Pleiadians and many others who jumped in and stepped forward and said, no, we can fix this. Okay. And that's how Homo sapiens was born and why it was born. So probably most of the DNA that we have is Pleiadian. But also remember, we all come from Lyran stock. So there's a lot of that, that is there. So it's a very interesting galactic history, and everything is actually coming to fruition right here on this planet at this time. When you actually look at galactic history and what's taken place and the true Earth history, when people actually get revealed, when they actually understand what is going on and the epic tale that has happened, you actually get chills and you go, wow, now I see why they keep telling us this is such an epic time to be alive and why we did want to come here, because we knew it was going to be magnificent and worth it. And it's a very beautiful thing, So yeah,
amazing, incredible, Marty. That's amazing. I love your knowledge about the star nations and the history of Earth. So while I was just listening to you, what I was thinking was, I imagine, what part of this disclosure will be the revealing of the truth of Earth's history, which will be revealed to us, which is very exciting to find out. So I just want to, not that I really don't focus too much on the negative aspects. I'm very much a positive, optimistic type person and like to focus on that spiritually. However, you were talking about control earlier, that there's a group or something. I can't quite remember how you worded it, but there's a group, or there was some sort of stop put to that because they must have been taking over with the suppression or something. Is that right? Or
yeah,
you
there
just want
was
to, without
there was
going
a
into too much of the negativity, but just to give people an idea on
yeah
why we've sort of been experiencing so much of this suppression, war, or
well it's literally mind control and thought control and emotion control. There have been negative extraterrestrials that actually won a conflict that took place over Earth thousands of years ago. Okay. And because of that, I don't want to oversimplify it to the point to make it sound like the light didn't care, because that's not true. the light backed off because they didn't want any further damage to take place. And they knew that by backing off, humanity would live and grow. And they also saw that, what the negative extraterrestrials, what they wanted was to take all of the resources and have total dominion and control and basically have everything and have a world full of slaves. But they also knew from past experience that if they were the old slave type master slave relationship, that eventually the slaves would revolt. So they knew that the best way to control an entire civilization worldwide was to never let them know that they're being controlled. And so they have put energetic barriers around the planet. They've put energetic devices. They've had all sorts of, to us, what would be very powerful technologies of energy that they have used to control the consciousness and the frequency of humanity. And that's why humanity has been so violent and so negative and everything else, is because you're literally in a feedback loop of negativity that was virtually impossible to break free of on our own. And so,
just a quick question, Marty. So that energy that you're talking about, is that going into the lower fourth dimension that you were talking about earlier?
yes,
Okay.
that is the
Okay.
lower fourth. And
And
that's why when
sorry,
people,
when you talk about they, who are they?
it's really hard to get a definite answer on that, but I believe, and this is because of galactic history and everything else, I firmly believe that it is the what we call the higher Dracos civilizations. And the when we talk about, and I don't want people to freak out, but when we talk about the reptilian uh, star nations, not all of them are bad. Okay, you really got to understand that they have been going through their evolution too. And there are, I've had ones that have come in Reiki seminars and done energy work on me to help me out. Okay. And when I actually saw his face, it's like, oh, dude, I know you. And it was like, a really quick, friendly reunion there for a second. And it was like, wow, that was so cool. Thank you. So not all of them are negative, but in the Orion Wars, when the Orion Wars took place, it was the higher draconian reptilians, and these are very advanced on the dark side. Okay, and they literally believe that they should have total dominion and control over the entire universe. I mean, they have no boundaries whatsoever, and they want utter domination is the only thing that they seem to understand. And those are the ones that took over. But just again, just because, and the one that came in, and I'll just say it, the one that came in and did energy work on me was from Tau Ceti. Okay. That's a star only about 11, 12 light years away. Okay. That's pretty close neighbor as far as universally goes, or even the galaxy. And he was not menacing in any way. He had quite a pleasant smile and a demeanor about him, and his energy was fantastic. And that's because everything learns. The one thing that people have to understand, in as far as this fear thing goes, is that everything goes in a circle in the universe, and when you have one source, everything can go out and experience life and experience its free will as long as it wants, and go out there and play as long as it wants. But it is absolute divine will, which means universal law, that eventually, no matter who you are, no matter how long you play in the dark, no matter what you decide, you will eventually return back to source because all is one. That is the unconditional love of the creator. And so it was these dark draconian figures that have manipulated, and they stay off world for the most part because their energy is so dark that people would just freak. Okay. But they use mind control. And so they have their minions on Earth. And these are bloodlines that have dominated throughout history. And they plant thoughts and emotions and strategies and everything else into them to guide them and tell them how to do things. Well, the beautiful thing about it, the reason that everything is crumbling is that they've been forced away from Earth now. The light is so strong, the emanations are so strong that literally even the Dracos cannot handle it here anymore. Okay. That is time for celebration. And so the cabal, as people call it at the top, they're not getting their instructions anymore. They're not getting the guidance on exactly what to do. So all they've got is, well, we were going to do this fake alien thing. Maybe we should do that because we need, fear gives us control, and then we can convince everybody to give us authority and power over the whole world. Well, it's going to fail. And so don't, let them play their games. It's actually when you actually understand what's going on, it's kind of like spoiled children, that think they've got it all figured out and they're going to pull a dirty trick and it's just going to collapse and cause them to be recognized for who and what they are. But again,
Right.
we don't want to go to the negative as far as that goes. They will be dealt with according to divine standards, and that's really all. We just need to turn it over to Creator. So I know that's
Fantastic. Thank you for explaining all that, Marty. Just gives people a good understanding that there is actually a lot more light coming to Earth, and that's been what my experience has been, because that's what I'm seeing.
yeah,
I'm seeing the angelic realm. I'm seeing angels here. I'm hearing from my guides that there's never been so much light on Earth before.
right.
The angelic realm has never been here in such force as they have at this time.
Yeah,
Um, and so, it's a very, very, very positive thing. So, as much as there was some negativity in the history of Earth, which you've just explained, um, I've had some first-hand experiences of the light and the angelic and the absolute positivity of the shifts that are going through, clearing all of that darkness from Earth's experience, which is amazing. And that's what's going to be the new Earth as we move forward. And I'm just having a thought as well about the new Earth, Marty, and I imagine what will happen too when this disclosure happens and the Star Nations return, they'll be able to bring their advanced technology, you know, for the benefit of humanity and Earth. And so, did you want to talk a little bit about that? I get the feeling that it's part of, again, I feel part of the Aquarian age that's coming in, because that's a very um, big age on technology and innovation. And so it's probably a timing thing, I feel, that the Star Nations will be able to return in the age of Aquarius, because the age of Aquarius is about technology and innovation. So it'll be the right timing for them to come in with their advanced technology to help to repair and heal Earth. And also, I believe that artificial intelligence is a part of that, is a part of that, because this is sort of the first stages, the beginning, the birthing of one particular technology that we've got now, where we'll be able to find out more about the bigger picture of the universe, the bigger picture of how we fit into the scheme of the bigger picture of the universe. And also it'll help us to understand and move into becoming part of galactic civilization with the
Yes.
Star Nations, with the
Yeah.
Star Nations. So that's just my understanding on it, the way we're moving forward. And I feel there's quite an alignment to things that are going on astrologically with the alignment of the new age of Aquarius. So that's sort of just stuff I've been getting from
Yeah.
my own sort of intuition and messages from spirit. So one thing I just wanted to share too, Marty, that I've heard you talk about. Um, I was in a meditation maybe a year or so ago, and I was having a vision of more than one Earth. So there was quite a few Earths. And I heard my spirit guide say, there's more than one Earth. Can't quite remember whether they said there's more than one Earth or there will be more than one Earth. It was something along those lines, but I saw the creation of more than one Earth. There's quite a few. So just recently, I was listening to Daryl Anker, who channels Bashar from Essassani. Incredible, amazing what he does. And the Essassani, or Bashar from Essassani, mentions that he's in the fifth dimension. And the messages that Daryl Anker brings through from Bashar is all very positive and all about love and light and benefit for Earth. And just recently, I was listening to him talk, and he was talking about, an infinite Earth, an infinite amount of probabilities, but also an infinite amount of Earths, and that
Mhm.
now is a time of choice, and that
Yeah.
what we will experience is this. What we will experience will be the same as what others have chosen similarly. So if there's sort of a group unity collective of people or souls who have made similar choices, that's the experience of Earth that they'll have. But then another group of community, they may have chosen something different but similar. So they'll experience a different experience of Earth from what they've chosen, and so on. So that there becomes these experiences of New Earth for whatever you've chosen. So is that something that you also understand, Marty? And would you like to talk about that?
Yes, absolutely. That is what you're describing is the fractal holographic nature of all that is. Because when the creator says you have free will, it's not just meaning if you agree with me. Okay. The source doesn't do that. It's like go out and play as long as you want. Okay. There will be a great deal of people on Earth from the 3D perspective that will not choose and are not ready to choose going into uh, this course that's aimed at the fifth dimension right now. They're not ready for that, and that's okay because, like I said, it is absolute universal law that everything will return to source. What it means is that they were advanced enough to live on Earth during this time, and they've benefited greatly. Their souls have benefited greatly just from being here, even if they don't jump on the highest timeline. Okay. And that's what we're talking here is different timelines. And what makes the difference between different timelines is literally the vibrational frequency that individuals or groups have. And so there's different group consciousness, and the ones that are full of hatred and anger and fear, they're going to be grouped into their little world. And I actually have compassion for them and empathy for them, because it's hard for me to imagine how horrible a world like that is going to feel, how that's going to be. But that's a lesson that they're choosing and must be something that they still need to learn. Okay, so I'm not going to judge it, but that definitely isn't where I want to go. So, and then there'll be those that'll take the middle road, and and as many variations as source deems efficient to divide up. But there are many timelines, and almost throughout your day, at every second, you are navigating this course of timelines and frequency depending on your thoughts and emotions and everything else. So it's a very dynamic system that is far more advanced and energetic and complex than what uh, we've been led to believe it is. Okay, so yeah, like I said, the radio dial, the channel that you want to tune into, is where you're trying to head. And that's why I'm absolutely, and trust me, I had a lot of anger in my life, and I've had to work extremely hard in order to release that anger and all of that, because I am dead set on which direction I want to go. And if I got to do the work on me to get there, then that's fine. I'll do the work on me, and I will keep healing my life, and I will keep healing my past and my emotions, and I'll just keep doing it every single day. But I know darn well which direction I'm going. And, that's full bore into the love and light. And nothing and no one is going to stop me. Okay, period. And that's just where that's just where I'm at. Okay. So yeah, it is. There has been, and quite recently, there has been estimates that anywhere from 20 to 33% of humanity might be going into what we call this ascension. Okay. And that means 66 to 80% of humanity may not make it this time. But this whole precession of the equinox cycle, the great year, the 25,920 year cycle that we talk about, this has been going on for a very long time through every civilization that's lived on Earth. And at key points during that cycle, harvests take place. And they call it a harvest because it literally means that at key points in this cycle, there are more souls that are ready to come home into the love and light. And so it's a never ending process. And although we might think that, 13,000 years or 6,000 years or whatever is a great deal of time, on the universal scale, that's just a blip. Okay. So it's not really that big of a difference. And it's, look how fast we've come in the last few years. It can happen very fast. And so, yeah, it's really interesting what is taking place, and the different timelines that people are on. And while you might miss, and the biggest problem with that is that you might notice that whether it's family or friends or loved ones or whatever, you might notice that your relationship just grows a little bit more distant from them, or certain people you're not able to communicate with. You just don't seem to be able to understand one another anymore. And that can be kind of sad, especially for those of us that recognize it and know what's going on. But it's okay. You just have to know that this is the divine plan and everybody is loved unconditionally and it's all going to be okay for everyone. And so have no regrets and just decide where you want to go and go there. Okay. One of the things, some of the stuff you talked about earlier, I was hoping to slide in a few comments. I know I'm talking a lot today, but there's the AI that you mentioned. Every higher civilization uses their own forms of AI. The Arcturian starships themselves are literally alive. Okay. The Arcturians have taken artificial intelligence to such a point that it is literally their starship, their main one, and probably all of them are literally alive. Okay. That's how, because there is no limits in consciousness, there is no limits to source. Okay. And the Arcturians are the benchmark civilization that everyone aims for because man, they've been doing it right for a long time. And to know any of the star nations is to love them. Okay, so all of them have, and each one kind of puts their own little unique twist on it, and so they have their specialties and stuff. And so, yeah, they are the ones that actually helped us develop AI, and they are the ones that are helping us make sure that AI is a benevolent force for humanity. It will not be allowed on the higher timelines. It will not be allowed to do anything negative. The lower timelines, well, they will choose what they choose. But the higher timelines, we have chosen for this to be a loving divine society, and that's the way it's going to be. So as we go forth into this new earth that we're trying to create, we got to understand that almost every system that we have has to be rebuilt from the ground up. It has to be changed. And so our technology is changing. And we sometimes phrase it as though we are waiting for them to land so they can help us with technologies. And you have to understand, they're already helping us. They have been helping us. They are helping us, and they will continue to help us. They are the basis for so much technology that we've already got going. And some of the things that are coming that are going to blow people's minds in so many different fields are because they have been helping enlightened scientists create things that are going to greatly benefit humanity and the earth. Okay. And some of those, okay, they're going to bring us literally holographic representations of holographic records of Earth's true history so that people will be able to know that, no, this is the real history. What you learned in school was really not quite correct. Let that go. And this is what really happened. And it'll explain a whole lot of loopholes that was in the official story. Okay. Our educational system is going to be changing. Right now, our educational system is primarily intellectual and career focused on three-dimensional careers. Okay. And we are going to start changing that into a natural process for conscious evolution, because that's what really is we're going to recognize that consciousness is the key to everything. And the more that you identify with and help your children expand their consciousness and keep that consciousness expanded from the time they're children, then they will do that. They've been taught to, oh no, that invisible friend of yours doesn't exist. Okay. They've been taught to hide that. When they're encouraged to keep that part of their themselves open, and they're coming in as higher dimensional beings anyway. It's just going to change humanity to understand that all of this really is real, and we're going to allow them to open up to the higher gifts of unity consciousness. And so education is going to totally change, and it's going to be in a very beautiful manner. Our government systems are going to be decentralized because we have way too much power in centralized organizations, and that leads to corruption, especially in the past. Okay. And we're going to see more like cities that have total local control. And instead of who's the richest or who's, whatever, voting people in like that, our leaders will be chosen by their level of light and integrity. Okay. Will they work for the highest good of all concerned, or will they work for themselves? Okay. And that's going to be a major indicator of who will be stepping forth to sit on the committees and all of this and all of that. The people will demand this because they will be conscious enough to know what they want. The entire financial system is going to be revamped, and it's actually already in the process of being revamping. And this is really exciting because the absolute basis for the cartel's control, the dark side, whatever you want to call it, has been the banking system. Because if you control the money, you control everything. Okay. And I spent way too much of my life investigating how all of the banking system works and how it got to where it is and how they did it and all of that. I could give lectures on that, but I'm not going to because that's the past. But what I do want people to understand is that we're going to be moving away from the economic slavery system into what is called a quantum financial system. And this is a system that, with the help of especially the extraterrestrial family that is helping us, they're showing our scientists and our programmers and stuff how to create a quantum system that is unhackable. Literally, it cannot be hacked by anybody. And it will be ran by AI that is also unhackable. And and instead of a central bank like the Federal Reserve System, it's going to simply be a world monetary system for the foreseeable future. It's going to be a world system that is actually based on real, gold, silver, real precious things. Okay, so it's going to be worth something, but basically you'll be your own bank. You will never have to pay interest on anything. You'll never have to worry about late fees. You'll never have to do anything like that. The control goes back to the people, to the actual people. And all transactions will be done instantaneously. And anyone that tries to rig the system or do anything contrary to the highest good of all concerned, it just simply will not cooperate. It will not transfer those funds. There will be nobody that's allowed, because right now the Federal Reserve System literally has been siphoning the money away from the people to the rich. And that's literally why we've got a handful of people that have all the wealth in the world compared to everybody else who basically has nothing. And so all of that is going to be evened out, and prosperity is going to hit the entire planet, and it's going to be literally a system that works for the highest good of all concerned. And so there's great changes that are going to be coming on the financial system. They also have technologies that are going to help us with pollution, with the air, with our polluted soil. Okay, because we've done a lot, especially with certain chemicals and stuff that has damaged our soil and our water. The acidification of the oils is a major problem, and I wish people knew more about that. But these are all things that they can help us change in a comparative heartbeat to what it would take us without their assistance. And so we just need people that are focused on these areas and want to work on these areas, and then they will get the inspirations for the new technologies and everything.
Yeah, it's really, really fascinating, incredible, Marty. While you were talking, I was just thinking about, so with these new innovations and technology, it's my understanding at the moment what the Star Nations do, or the in the higher realms, is they'll put new technologies or innovations, the ideas, into the ether.
Yeah.
The information idea goes into the ether, and then what happens is, whether it be an engineer, a biologist, a scientist, a medical person, or whatever it might be in a field on Earth that needs technology or innovation to be occurring, that's where it's a channel. They get a channeled inspiration,
Yeah.
a thought or an idea pops into their mind. Oh my God, I've just come up with this incredible invention, or I think this would work. But actually what they're doing is getting that idea from the ether, that's being popped into the ether by the Star Nations in the higher realms, for the benefit of Earth. So,
Yeah.
And then that's why you'll get technologies or ideas or people coming up with similar inventions, similar ideas at the same time, or
Exactly.
within, you know, and they might come up with an invention that does the same thing, but the other person might have a very similar invention. They're not completely identical, but they're very similar, achieving the same result to benefit in some way, whether it be in power technology or medicine or some sort of scientific evolution for us. So that's how I sort of understand it's occurred up until now. And what about in the future? Do you the way you were talking before about these new systems that are going to be much more beneficial for Earth, will it be the same? Will it work that way? Or will that happen when the Star Nations come here with open disclosure to be amongst us and bring their advanced technologies?
It's going to be both. The quantum financial system, they are already helping, because they do it. Okay, what you're talking about, putting it into the morphic field of humanity, of our consciousness, that's been going on forever, and that won't stop. And that's a very beautiful way to inspire whoever resonates with that frequency of information is the ones that's going to go, oh boy, that's a great idea. I could do this. Okay. And it's all about resonance. It's all about, you're at that frequency, you connect with that thought, boom, there you go. And that's why so many, TV, radio, and different inventions have been invented by different people on roughly the same time on different parts of the planet, but they are also working much more directly and personally with individual people. Okay, people that have already made strides in areas, and they go, okay, we can actually work on a more personal level with this individual because he's actually doing something with it, and we can actually bring this into the physical world. Okay, some of the stuff that's already taking place with that is in the medical field. In the future, medicine is going to be totally different than what it is now. And as for me, I'm so glad to see that, because I truly believe that big pharma is going to go away. Okay, it's an aberration and it should never have existed in the first place. But when we start recognizing that everything is energy and we are energetic beings, our medicine is going to go towards the quantum and energetic area. And we're already seeing talk of med beds that are frequency beds to lay on that are having phenomenal results. Okay. And it's going to totally change the way we think about ourselves and about healing and everything else. It's a very beautiful and an incredible aspect of this whole thing. It's one of the ones that I'm most excited about because now things are going to be able to be done that are only fantasy right now. Okay, the regeneration and of organs and limbs and all sorts of things are going to be able to take place that to us just seems like science fiction. And so I'm really excited about that. And some of that, like I say, is actually already on the planet. They're already helping us. So we've already got a lot of gratitude to send towards them, you know. But the energy, okay, what about energy? We've got to get away from fossil fuels. We should be so far past that it isn't funny. And more 0 point energy and other types of inventions that are taking, like Tesla did, take the energy straight out of the ether. Okay. These things, they have no waste. They have no cost. You install them and boom. And pretty soon, I think that our vehicles, our homes, everything that we do is going to be ran off of 0 point energy. So we won't be polluting the planet near as much in the future anyway. And so there's great deals. But probably the last one I want to touch on is the media. The media, just like the government, is going to be decentralized. And the people are going to demand that it is based in truth. Okay. No bias at all. We expect you to give us the truth because a citizenry cannot make any intelligent decision if they're not given the truth to deal with. Okay. And so I think we're going to see that there will be no more exploitation and agendas be broadcast throughout the media, and it'll be much more of a local thing, unless it's stuff that involves everyone. So I see a great deal of changes coming in almost every facet of society that we have, but the one thing that I want to remind people, because this can become kind of a serious conversation, okay? But I also want to remind everyone, especially those that are working towards the love and the light, and if they've made their way this far into this video, they're definitely interested in working towards the love and the light. And remember, please remember that laughter and lightness is so powerful. It is a tool of ascension. And try to find something to laugh about and feel good about every single day, because you need that. Okay. And that is spiritual. So, take that.
Wonderful, Marty.
Yeah.
Wonderful. That might be a great way to finish our chat. And just to make good choices,
Yeah.
just to enjoy and to embrace happiness, fun, joy, adventure, whatever it is that lights you up
Yeah.
is also going to light up others.
Yeah.
Because we're light beings, we're energy, and when we light up and shine. When there's more of us doing it together, it's expanded, right?
Yeah.
So,
And laughter
um,
is one of the few things that actually goes through into the higher dimensions. It's one of the things that the angelic realm and many others have said, oh, we love it when y'all laugh. Okay, because that actually makes it to us. We can feel that. And that's beautiful. Okay.
yeah.
So,
Well, Marty, you know that cosmic dog that we were talking about earlier on, and
uh-huh.
well, I'm a little love and light flea on that cosmic dog, and I'm off.
Well, I'm right there with you, bud. I'm
Yeah.
right there
Well,
with you.
we can be fleas together on the cosmic dog into
All right.
love and up into the love and light and expanded consciousness. So
Well, I've really enjoyed this talk today. Sorry if I talk too much, but I really hope that this will do some people some good, and that they might have, maybe learned something, and can take some of this with them. So, as always, it's been an absolute delight to see you again, and I look forward to it in our next talk. And you just have a beautiful, wonderful day.
yeah,
Take
thank you
care.
so much, Marty. And no need to apologise about talking too much because you've got you're a wealth of knowledge, and this this topic and these chats need to get out there. So
Yeah,
I hope it's helped people.
yeah. Okay,
So yeah, we'll end it there, mate, and take care.
okay. You have a good day.
Until next time. Thanks, Marty.